Welcome to the X's and Argos film study. I'm Ben Grant. This week we're going to take a look at how the Toronto Argonauts created 5 turnovers and really created 7, but got a bit of bad luck on a couple of penalty calls. And I've got with me today Scott Price, who I've coached with for 13 of the past 15 years, because we're looking on the defensive side of the ball. He'll help us go through some of these plays today. Okay, so here we are, Toronto 28. It's 1st and 10. Hamilton's got quads to the field on the right side. Just even as this ball is snapped, it looks like, just from the fact that he's got his arms out wide, it looks like Tremaine Washington doesn't have any idea what's happening on this play. But I think we agree that we've got man down on the bottom here.
Yeah, it looks like a soft man.
And so with Richardson giving this almost 10-yard cushion, my read on this is that he's baiting this throw. He knows it's a young QB in Moore. He knows he's got speed on the receiver here, Ackland. And so he basically is banking on it being a short route, and he's looking for a pick and trying to bait that QB with that soft cushion. And you see him take one step back, and then he's off to the races.
Yeah, playing it very aggressively. Doesn't look like he has much fear of him being taken deep on this. And just coming downhill at the first break.
On the field side, it looks like they're setting up another short pass. We've got the number 1 and 2 look like they're stock blocking, and we've just got 2 outs from the 3 and 4. But I have no idea what the coverage is out there. I think part of it is that Washington doesn't seem to know what the play is, and it's really hard for me to read what else is going on in this angle.
Yeah, it looks like that's the side they should have went to, Hamilton. If they actually went to that underneath pass there, they got numbers and blockers up there. That's going to be a problem.
Yeah, pre-snap, just looking at this, more in my mind has to see he's got 4 versus 3, and so no matter what the play is, but especially knowing, seeing what this turns into, you got 2 blockers out there. Mm-hmm. You've got 2 receivers that one linebacker is basically responsible for covering. So I think that's a much better pass. But Moore gets tempted by this sort of off coverage, and Richardson makes him pay. So here we go near midfield. Moore's going to complete a short pass, and then Quidarius Ford comes in and rips this ball out. You can see it better in this other angle here. There's a couple of really good angles of this. So how do we know here in watching this, how do we know that this isn't just a receiver dropping the ball? How do you know this is something that Ford should be credited with?
I think it's when you see Ford, this is exactly what defensive players are taught to do. And good defenses, they are swarming to the ball. The tackle's being secured. Now there's no risk of him being able to get away. And once the tackle's being secured, you have the chance to go and take the football away. This is going to be a great play for Hamilton. It's going to be on first down, a 9-yard run, and essentially a loss for the defense. And then you turn it into a win by the defense by creating a turnover at the 9-yard mark, and we're going the other way.
And the presence of mind to, after stripping the ball, knows it's stripped, and to jump on that before going out of bounds. And to make sure that you are not out of bounds when you recover that ball, because we've seen that so many times where the defense recovers, but the shoulder's out of bounds or legs out of bounds. But Ford here does a nice job. You can see him securing. He's totally in bounds. He's got the ball.
Yeah, it's a great hustle play. It's funny how guys that the first guy to create the fumble is the first guy to know it's loose, and he's definitely the first guy to track it down. Great effort play by Ford.
Now, what's your thought on when you try to scoop and score as opposed to jump on the ball and recover?
Anytime where it's going to be a possession, change of possession, you have to weigh your risk reward. If you have a chance on a play, if it's a 2nd and long, and you have a play that's going to be deep into the secondary, you sort of have to weigh your options there of what the risk reward is. But on defense, anytime you get a chance to take it to the house by picking it up and then making yards, it's hard to pull the reins back on a defensive player. If you're in traffic, you obviously got to know you're in traffic. You can't stand around and try to scoop and score a ball. You just got to get on it. But anytime that you think you might have some open field ahead of you.
I think here, like looking at it, I think he's worried the ball is going to go out of bounds,
sure.
and so he's just like, I got to get this ball.
Yeah,
and
this isn't an option really for a scoop and score. This is, if he doesn't, we're watching this in slow motion. If he doesn't jump on this ball, basically he makes a great athletic play to secure it on the first bounce, which isn't always done, and get his shoulder down and his forearm down and stay in bounds.
Okay, we're 2nd and 8 from the Argos 10-yard line. This ends up being a pick by Alden Darby, free safety, but it gets called back because there's pass interference to the boundary side on Shaq Richardson. So let's take a look at the pick first, and then we can talk about this PI call. Yep. So we got cover one, trips her to the field. How does Darby get from the boundary hash all the way to the corner of the end zone on a 3-step drop?
This is a case of rookie quarterback, bad work with his eyes, and a bad pass, really. This is from the start of the play, he's staring him down. There's no reason that he should have the free safety. If he knows where he wants to go with that ball, if he takes a half second to look, frees that free safety, by the time he clears him, he wouldn't be able to get there. And he just stares at him from the start of the play, does nothing to move him off of him, and then throws a bad football.
And this is something that Moore struggled with all game. Darby could have had 3 picks in this game from that free spot where he just seems not only not to move him around with his eyes, but he forgets that he's even there. And he's seeing, oh, we've got man coverage. And it's almost like he treats cover 1 like cover 0. Mm-hmm. And, if this is cover 0, it's still not a great ball. Maybe it's overthrown, but it's not a pick. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Darby, knowing it's a young QB, as soon as he sees Moore's eyes turn left, he sprints to the corner of the end zone.
Yep. And it looks to me, as soon as he takes the snap, he's got eyes on him.
Yeah,
he's staring him down the whole way.
Yeah, no, he never looks him off. Now we'll look at the PI. So the pass interference call is at the very top of the field there. Shaq Richardson on Ackland. Ackland's got a dig route as he crosses the end zone. To me, this is a DB reading the route and stepping in front of this ball. Because if this is thrown right now, so if we're going to Ackland here and this is thrown right now, Richardson's entitled to the space. He's breaking on what would be now the throw, and he's entitled to that area, in my opinion. And I don't think that's PI. I think that's him going for the pass, which he has a right to, and he established his position before Ackland does. It's a flag somewhere that the quarterback never had any intention of going. The play is as far away as it could be from the flag, and to see this thrown anyway, I think is I don't know. I think that's really unfortunate for Darby, who made a really nice play, and for the Argos, because of course Hamilton ends up scoring on the very next play. 5 yards closer.
Yeah, it's a horrible call. The defensive player completely just jumping a route. He's entitled to the space on the field, the bailout flag, and then the fact that afterward they should have picked it up. It had nothing to do with the outcome of the play. So
we're 1st and 10, Hamilton 32. It's going to be a short pass attempt from Moore that gets tipped and ultimately picked by Lyndon Gaydosh. Keenan Gilchrist is the one that gets his hand on the ball. So Hamilton trips to the right. They motion 2 receivers over to the left side and get a sense of what the coverage is, and it's going to be cover 3. Looks like we're in cover 3 cut to the boundary, cover 3 hold to the field side, but none of that really comes into play here. Although I would suggest that this is probably not a good pass anyway, because I think this is going to get, even if it's complete, this probably gets blown up by Shaq Richardson, who's got flats here. But let's take a look at the job that Gilchrist does. So how do you know this isn't just a lucky play on Gilchrist's part, that he just jumps at the right time and makes a play?
This is a good read. Just he's halfway through his pass rush. He's getting upfield and he sees the quarterback one step and it's coming out quick. And then a great job by the defensive lineman. If you're not going to get home, get your hands up, get him in the lane, and he does exactly that. He's not going to get there. By the time he starts getting upfield, he sees the hand coming off the ball by the quarterback. It's going to be released, and he moves into the throwing lane and gets his hands up. And then he actually should have picked it off himself, but it's a great hustle play by the defensive tackle to get in the line, get down the line, and make that play.
And you cheer for the defensive tackle because those are not guys that get to make a lot of highlight reel picks. Yeah. So for him to get an interception, I think is awesome.
Yeah, big guys padding the interception stats right there.
Here you can see. So he sees the back leak out. So he knows as he sees Moore look over, he's got to know here. Moore's looking for this back that's running right by me.
Yeah.
And so
he's already set his feet.
He's puts on the brakes.
And then he just puts on the brakes and gets in the throwing lane and gets his hands up. It's a good job. Defensive tackle's doing the same thing. That's what you're supposed to do on that play. The ball's going to come out, and you're not going to get home. Get your hands up, try to get in the lane.
So Tiger Cats once again in a scoring situation. We're second and goal from the 7-yard line. And Alden Darby, who's playing free safety, he sort of disguises this a little bit. He's standing at the 1-yard line. Moore's taking a look left and right. I think he thinks he's got 0 pre-snap. His guy gets an inside release, and Moore never thinks twice about it. And Darby, who had backed away, is just waiting there for the pick.
Yeah, he's definitely just misreads it. It's a good job by Toronto disguising the coverage because they are bringing heat. They are bringing pressure. He does think it's 0. And the free safety does a good job of disguising it. He's the one that bails out and sits in the middle of the field, and then he essentially gets it thrown right to him. And they run a twist down low, and they're bringing 3 guys. And
Hamilton actually picks it up pretty nicely. There's room for him to step up.
Yeah, they did a good job there.
But I put this on Moore still for he's got to see Darby back out, even though he reads 0 pre-snap, but you can't just count on your pre-snap read for the duration of the play. He's got to now see when he gets the ball now, he's got to notice that Darby is backing off.
Yeah, I mean, as a quarterback, your eyes have to be there on that free safety, reading pre-snap as much as you can. And to Toronto's credit, like I said, when he takes his eyes down to get the snap, that's when he moves, and he just never relocates him. And they blitz 2 on that play. The 2 looks like either a halfback or a linebacker, but they run a twist essentially on the outside, those guys, and then an interior blitz with a linebacker. So they are bringing pressure, which he's feeling obviously to get rid of it. But as soon as he's putting his eyes down, the free safety starts bailing, and he never sees him, never relocates him.
So here we have the second pick of the night that was called back. So this is 2nd and 6, Hamilton on their own 29. Argos are sending heat. We'll talk about that in a second. So the coverage here, we've got cover 3. This is split. We're in cut to the boundary. We're in hold to the field. Quads are to the field side. And if you watch Tremaine Washington, who comes up with this pick, to me he knows he's got deep responsibility, and there's not a lot going on this side. Mm-hmm. And there's not even a back to this side. So he's already looking from the snap at the quad side to see who's coming over, because he figures that's the guy he's going to jump in front of.
Mm-hmm. Both the weak side linebacker and the weak side half essentially are doing that on this play and are essentially sitting to the routes that come right to them.
Yeah, the Will's mugging, and he's the only guy that doesn't end up coming. He's got the underneath hole. Mm-hmm. And Moore is feeling the pressure from this blitz, especially to the top side. And I'm not sure, who do you think this pass is intended to?
It's hard to tell. It looks like it could be to the underneath drag, and that the Will's getting in front of, and that he seems to know that you're going to throw him into contact here. So either he slows up, or either way, it's either really whoever he's throwing it to is really poorly thrown. The fact that we're having a discussion to figure out who he's throwing it to isn't a good sign.
Because to me, it looks like, so the receiver coming across on the deeper of the 2 options, it looks like he stops in space because he sees he's not going to run into Washington's zone. So he stops around the hash, thinking that the quarterback's going to sit him there. Mm-hmm. But I don't think Moore sees Washington at all. I think he if he is going to the deep receiver, I think he thinks that his receiver is going to run it right through, and he's leading him what he thinks is to space. But he's lucky it's not a more accurate throw because Washington might have knocked him out.
Yeah. Either way, I mean, it's a misread on the coverage for sure because both of those routes are coming right into coverage. And if they don't if they had sat them down or broke them off earlier, there would have been huge holes there. Not a great job by the receivers.
This is why I like guys to tuck in their shirts.
Oh yeah, big time.
Get everything tucked in because he doesn't bring him down by this, but we've seen that happen before.
Yeah.
So we'll take a look at the flag here from the other angle. So Toby Antigua ends up getting called for a late hit. So this defensive front is, first of all, really tough to read. We've got nobody with their hand down. This sort of swarm looking defense here. We've got 3-4 personnel, kind of. The Will is the only one that doesn't come. He backs out into the underneath hole, and everyone else is coming. Moore sees him, gets rid of that ball a little earlier than he might have liked. Mm-hmm. Now, they didn't call this, they called this roughing the passer. They didn't call it as a helmet to helmet. Is this late enough to get a flag?
I don't like it. As a defensive player, I get what they're trying to do in the league, but I mean, we're watching this. Slowing it down, that's split seconds. If he doesn't release that ball there, you got to finish that play.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way you can tell as Antigua that this ball is gone and have time to pull up.
Yeah.
But that's, obviously that's the message that every league is now sending. Like, you have to, if you see him just about to throw, and we've seen it a few times where the quarterback has actually pump faked and the defensive player's like thrown himself to the side, and the quarterback's still alive with the ball. That's a tough penalty on Antigua because you can see right here, you see him, it's like now he knows the ball is gone, but it's too late now.
Yeah.
And so you actually see him here, like he pulls up his arms as if to say, like, well, I didn't, I'm not trying to hit the guy late. That wasn't the intention, but it's too late. There's a flag. I get it. I think this is unfortunate. It's bad luck for Antigua. It's bad luck for Washington too, who has a pick wiped out, and Toronto, who now gives Hamilton 15 more yards.
It's tough for big men defensive linemen in situations like that. Like they just can't come to a dead stop. They're big men moving in a direction, and then you're asking them to, stop on a dime in split seconds. It's a real tough play.
So this is another Alden Darby pick. 2nd and 10, Toronto 36. What do you see coverage-wise here? I thought this was cover one initially, but I'm not sure now. He's looking in at the quarterback. He's given a cushion. This is not the best angle to see because we can't see, we can't even see what Darby does after he drops. So Darby's here, initially drops deep, and then just like we've seen, Moore is locked in on a target, and Darby comes flying in.
Yeah, it looks like they're playing man up top for sure. It's hard to read the bottom of the field here, the field side. I think it's the same thing. At this point in time, the free safety has figured out it's the fourth quarter. Quarterback is staring guys down. And again, he takes a snap, and again, he's looking at the inside receiver, and the free safety's like, he hasn't figured out how to look me off yet, and it's the fourth quarter. I'm going to gamble, and gamble pays off.
As a huge day for Darby from start to finish. Like, he should have had 3 picks in this game. Toronto missed him for the last couple of weeks with injury, and you see the difference that one defensive player can make when you insert him back into the lineup, especially against a young QB like this, making what really should have been 3 picks. Well, that's just about going to do it for this week's film study session. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to check in on the website, xsandArgos.com. We're going to have a lot of great stuff coming up over what will probably be a busy few days and probably a busy couple weeks. So be sure to check back in. In the meantime, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.